Thanks for the introduction, Gwen. I'll just jump right in here as I got a lot of stuff to get through. First off, who we are. I've got a very seasoned board of directors. Alex Hemmel, who I've known for about 10 years, he's our CFO. He's been involved with public companies since I've known him, and awesome at what he does. Great CFO. He's been involved with a lot of junior exploration companies over the years, so got a lot of faith in what Alex is doing. Rich Macy, he's another pal of mine. I've known him for over 15 years, and he's been involved with public companies ever since I've known him. He's on many boards. Great guy, and fantastic to have him on board with us as well. Tim Henenberry, this is a little bit of a dated bio, so I'm going to say he's probably over 40 years experience. Not only is he a fantastic geologist, knows his stuff, he also really understands public companies and the running of public companies. So I think I've got a really good set of directors here to start with. We're a fairly new company. We only came public back in November. Moving right along. Our share structure, we got 41.5 million shares outstanding as it stands right now. That's a combination of our founders and seed round, IPO that was completed the end of November, beginning of December, and then our recent 22 million share financing that we just completed May 21st. The warrants that are outstanding, there's just about 15.5 million. That's a combination of from the seed, the IPO, and from this recent private placement. They're all strike prices or exercise prices at 25 cents. If they were all exercised, that would give us another $3,850,000 in the bank, which would cover all of second year's exploration budget and even into year 3. We have an acceleration clause on those if it trades over 50 cents for 10 days. Options, we've got about just over 3.8 million. The bulk of those are a 20-cent exercise price. So that would be about another 600,000, say. Fully diluted, just about 61 million shares, but that also, if that all gets fully diluted, that's another $4.5 million plus dollars in the treasury. Moving on, recent developments. We actually did this deal with Mirasol. Like I said, we only came to trade back in November, beginning of December. So we met Mirasol. It was at the beginning of February. We had a letter of intent that we worked on. We finally announced the letter of intent on February 27th. It was, I think, the worst day the Dow Jones had ever experienced. It wasn't great timing on our part. We kind of suffered through the COVID sort of meltdown of the markets, but we fast forward to, I'd say, the last couple weeks or the last week anyways, of April. I was fortunate enough to meet Mars Investor Relations. And we engaged with them. So along with Mars Investor Relations and my group, we were able to oversubscribe a $2 million finance, and we used the over allotment of 10%. We did that in a matter of 2 weeks. So we had a fully completed financing, a signed definitive agreement that was announced on May the 21st. A little bit about Mirasol. This is the group that we're doing the deal with. Mirasol has been around, I think, since the early 2000s. They're a well-known company. They're well-capitalized. They're a project generator. They've been down in, I believe, Chile and Argentina for a number of years now. When I say well-capitalized, you can see down in the bottom corner there, these guys sold one of their projects for roughly, I think it was around 60 million US. So they've got, it was a pretty good chunk of money for those guys. As far as the board of directors, unbelievable, great, fantastic board of directors, top level management, really impressed with these guys. The gentleman that we're dealing with, or the two guys we're dealing with, is the country manager, Tim Heenan, and then Mauricio, that's the project manager. These are top-notch guys. They'll be running the program. Mirasol's in charge of the program. We're just funding it. And we're really looking forward to getting going with both Tim Heenan and Mauricio and get this project underway. Next up, a location. So we're down the southern tip of Argentina. This is the province of Santa Cruz. The area that you see highlighted in here, this is known as the Patagonia region. I think exploration started back in the 1980s, ramped up in the 1990s. You can see there's a fair number of producers in country. Some of them, you got Yamana Gold in there. You've got, up to the north, you've got Hochschild McEwen. And then you got the Cerro Negro. That's probably about just over 100 kilometers to the north. That was Gold Corp, now Newmont. We're in good company down there, and I'm, feeling it's a pretty good sized property too. As you can see, it's roughly 74,000 hectares. 27,000 were added onto, or part of that were added in 2016. Anyways, we got a lot of great neighbors. It's a very mining-friendly area. If we start having success, I would maybe hope that it sparks some interest from maybe some of our neighbors. Who knows? This isn't a grassroots property. This is something they've spent $12 million to date. If you're looking at this sort of sketch here, this is like the blue outlines here. Those are conceptual pits. They've done a 43-101 resource estimate. They've got right now, there's roughly 12 million ounces in the inferred category, ranging around or averaging about 310 grams per ton. You look over, they've also got another 3 million ounces in the inferred, and that's around 207 grams per ton. You can't see it on this slide, but it was down to the north where they figured all these structures were starting to lead into the north, so they acquired that additional land package down below, which I think was a really smart, play on their part, because it's we've had a little bit, or they've had success with some reconnaissance work that they've done down there. Exploration highlights. This property, it goes back to, I think, is 2005. They actually started up in the northern area, Santa Marta East and Santa Marta Main. They've had some showings. It warrants further exploration, but that's not where we're going to concentrate. 2020, this year, where we're going to go is in the inset, and that's where you see those conceptual pits are in this sort of inset down below. Let me get this little pointer here. Yeah, so down this is the new ground that they acquired down below, and that's where they've had some, they've had some really good results from some of the sampling and stuff they've been doing down there. But so we're excited. This is, we're not going to try to reinvent anything. These guys, they've got their 15 million ounces, they indicated and inferred. We're just going to try to, well, we're not going to try. We're going to build on that. We know we've got some great targets, which I'll show you on the next slide. But there's about 11 sort of identified through rock chip samples as high as like 4,600 grams per ton. You've got some trench samples as high as 29,000 grams per ton. So, and I'll show you on the next slide here, just some of the, okay, so all these little sort of highlighted areas in the red, orange, and yellow are all sort of priority, well, drill targets. The highest priority are the ones in red. So some of these structures which were outlined in that blue, we're going to be drilling. They figured that we should be drilling to depth on this stuff. There's a lot of room to go underneath what they've already been drilling. Everything has gone to depth. We're going to mainly concentrate, obviously, on the high priority targets. We want to get in, get good grades, start adding ounces to that 15 million ounce resource already that's been, in their 43-101. If you look down to the north here where the Silver Sands logo is, you can see that's where the reconnaissance work was done on the new sort of part of the property, that 27,000 hectares. So that's very promising. Not only do we have a ton of targets up top, along strike and, up in this area, but they, down below, they've had some really good sort of sampling programs that have been done. Not sure whether we get in there and get any drilling done this year. We'll certainly try to get some work done because I think it looks like a really exciting area to be in. Let's see. First, actually, you know what? I'll go back. I kind of skipped over myself as far as my experience. I talked about the rest of my board of directors, and I actually forgot about myself. So I'll quickly just pause here for a second. My background is I'm not a geologist, but I was 24 years at Canaccord. I left there as a senior investment advisor. I was primarily focused on venture deals at my time at Canaccord, which encompassed a lot of, exploration, junior exploration type deals. So my background, I've got, a great knowledge of deal structure, financing. I understand the importance of investor relations, keep the story in front of the investing public. This is a very capital intensive business, and we got to keep money pouring in to keep the drill programs and stuff alive. So I'm very well aware of that. I think I'm a big value out of this company. I'm going to really work hard on this. This is, I think, a great opportunity. Now, why Silver Sands? Well, let's start with a little bit of the gold and silver itself, the precious metals. I think we're in probably the beginning stages of what could be a massive, massive bull run here in precious metals, primarily gold and silver. Gold's already been looking pretty good. It's probably in the last year and a half or so. It's up over $400, where silver's kind of been sort of stuck in a sideways sort of $14 to $19, but primarily $15 to $17. I think there's a lot of reasons for silver. I won't get into for it to make a move to the upside. You take a look at one, for instance, you got the silver gold ratio. It's way out of whack right now. It's probably as high as some of the historic levels that it's ever been at. And then also, if you look at the technical side of silver right now, the charts are all showing, they couldn't look any more bullish. I think if we see gold sort of break out through 1750 and then 1800 on its way to 2000, I think that's when we'll see silver finally start moving up towards that resistance level of $20, $21. Once it goes through that, all bets are off. I think we'll see, probably track up towards that $30 pretty quickly. And eventually, I think it's going much higher. That's my own personal belief. I really think we've got, something, pretty special coming up here on silver. As far as the deal that I've done with Mirasol, we have a right to earn 100% minus a net smelter return. So I think we've done a really good deal. We did it back when there was very low sentiment on silver. So I think we got in at the right time. We closed the financing. I mean, we've got all the money. We did that back on May 21st, definitive agreement. Money's in the bank. We've got all permits will be in hand for as soon as the weather allows us to be on the property. We're looking probably, end of August into September. It really depends on weather because it's their winter time right now. So that's usually when the season starts to break up. So it just depends on how deep their winter was. So I guess like in a nutshell, we've got, first year exploration budget is fully covered. We're ready to go, ready to hit the ground running. The property's already had 12 million spent on it. It's got 15 million ounces already identified in their 43-101. I mean, we're just going to be building on that. We know we're going to go into good numbers. We know we're going to add ounces. There's no question there. I think we've just scratched the surface, or they've just scratched the surface of what the potential of this property is, especially when you start looking down to the south. So all of this combined with what I think is going to be a spectacular breakout on silver, and that could be coming up, I'm thinking even the end of August into the fall. I couldn't be more excited. I think we've got everything going in the right direction for us. So, we've got a market cap right now of, it's only just around 8 million or just under 8 million. Lots of upside potential on that. Let's see what else anyways, I'm excited. I can't wait to get down there. We've got everything in hand. Everything's ready. Mirasol, we're in good hands. They're going to run the project. And I can't wait to get going. All the viewers, please stay tuned. And you're going to see, hopefully we're going to have some big success down there. I'm going to work my butt off to make a big return for all the shareholders. Thanks for listening to my story, and please stay tuned.
Thanks very much, Keith. Everyone, this is a very new story, and like you said, it listed not too long ago and acquired the project and did the financing even more recently than that. So you're among the first to sort of get